One of the most popular questions I get asked for people who are looking to teach ESL online is, how long does it actually take to get hired with a company? So in this session, we're going to look at what that timeline could actually look like and how to speed it up. From the OET, I help support people, especially mums, start and succeed with an online ESL teaching career that they can do from home around their families. Today's session, we are talking all about how long does it actually take to get your first online ESL job. And of course, we're just talking estimates here because it really does depend on the candidate with your experience and your qualifications in place and the companies that you are applying for as well. So let's first talk about those qualifications then. Most online ESL companies do want some form of degree. It doesn't have to be a teaching degree, it could be in anything, but most companies do want a degree. There are a couple of companies that don't need a degree, and you can check out our session talking about degrees. I'll make sure I'll post the link below. But on top of that, a lot of companies also want what's called a TEFL qualification, teaching English as a foreign language. And these TEFL qualifications, they do vary in quality and do vary in time length as well. I do believe most courses have about 6 months at least that you can spend to completing the course. And if you're taking an online course, then you can complete them in a few days to a few weeks to a few months. It really does depend on how much time you want to put in to completing the course early on so that you can start applying for jobs. So the TEFL course is quite important. And most companies want a course that has 120 hours. As we talked about, courses do vary in quality, and when I mean 120 hours, that's what the company is asking for, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will take you 120 hours to complete, which is why it does vary from a couple of days to a couple of months as to which course you choose for how long it will take you to complete. But what I do recommend is that if you want to be able to apply for as many companies as possible, have as many opportunities as possible, then it's a good idea to have your TEFL qualification completed before you start the application process. Some companies don't require a TEFL course, and some companies also can help assist you with completing a TEFL qualification alongside being hired and teaching with them. But those two options are very few and far between. Industry standard is to have an 120-hour qualification that you can then apply for different companies and teach online with. So my recommendation is to make sure that you have this qualification in place before you start applying for companies. Now, number two, once you've got all of your qualifications already done and completed, you've got the certification, then it's time to apply. Applying doesn't really take too long if you have everything prepared. So with an application, you need to have your CV or resume all completed and up to date. Often you don't need a covering letter. That's not usually a requirement. Often with a company, you'll fill out a form, and in there, they do tend to ask for you to provide a video, your introductory video, which is 1 to 2 minutes of you talking to camera about yourself, your qualifications, where you're from, and a bit about your teaching preferences and experiences. So we've got our CV, our introductory video, and then from there you submit the form and you'll hear back from the company. Companies do vary how long they take. Some companies have dedicated department for recruitment and hiring new teachers. Other companies are smaller and don't have that, so that you have a person that's juggling different roles within a company. So companies can take from a few days to a few weeks to get back to you. And if you don't hear from them, generally it means that they're not taking your application any further. It's a good idea to apply for a few companies at a time so that you are diversifying your options and increasing your chances of someone coming back to you. The next step is obviously inviting you to an interview and a demo lesson, which you need to prepare for. And then once you've completed that, it's the onboarding process, signing contracts, completing your training, and then starting to teach your first few classes with the company. Now, it does take a couple of weeks to go from sending your application form to being hired, because in that time frame they need to review your application and your introductory video. They need to send you an invitation to book an interview and demo lesson with them, which then you need to obviously cross relate with your availability. And then you're completing the live session, and then they need to review that and send you an offer if they want to hire you as a new teacher. So it can take a few weeks to go through all of that process. Then we're looking at onboarding and gaining your first students. Often companies won't start signing you up with a full schedule with regular students from the get-go. They still want to kind of trial and see what you're like as a teacher using their resources and platform. Most of the time, they'll start you off with trial students. So trial students are people who want an online English teacher, but they're not sure which company to go with or which teacher to choose from. So a trial lesson is just that. It's a demo of your teaching skills, the materials, and if the student feels that it's a fit or not. And then they could go forward and choose you as their teacher. Or if the company is the one that books rather than the students choosing their teachers, then the company may then start to book you with regular students if they see that you are reliable, you're consistent, and you are offering high quality lessons to those students. So again, bookings, you can get a couple of trial classes within your first week, but it can take several months to fill out your schedule and all the available hours that you have provided with the company. So all of these things all together, let's say you've already completed your TEFL course. So that took you a couple of weeks to complete. Now you're going through the application stage up to filling out your schedule. This could take 6 months to get from start to finish. So starting from applying for a few jobs to being fully booked with your company. So do keep that in mind, that as a new online ESL teacher, it is a very slow, steady progression to filling out your schedule. And of course, that does mean that the income is slow and gradually being built up from very, very part-time alongside what else it is that you are doing in order to pay your bills, to gradually increasing those hours, increasing your income, and hopefully in the future being able to switch out what you're currently doing to teaching full-time online. When you're hired with your first company and you are gaining bookings with trial classes, it's a good time and opportunity to also apply for a couple of other companies. It's really important to diversify your income streams to add that extra comfort level of security. Because if something happens with that first company, let's say the company goes bust, or they decide that actually you're not a good fit for the company after all, and they can drop you because you're a freelance contract just like that with no notice. So it's really important that you are working with at least 2 or 3 companies at a time, so you've always got some form of income coming in. So once you have those first trial classes, you've been hired, that's a good time to start applying for other companies alongside. Now, a few top tips to help you get hired faster. Make sure that your introductory video is clear and it's friendly. In an introductory video, it's the prime time for a company to see if you are the right fit for them and what they're looking for. It's a really good opportunity for you to share obviously your accent and your English skills, making sure that you are demonstrating your fluency. It's really good to show your TPR skills. If you don't know what TPR is, make sure that you watch a video on that. And it's a good opportunity as well, and highly important, to show your teaching style, your personality on screen as well. Maybe demonstrate some preparation that you have, a few props, flashcards, things like that, to show that you're not just there for the money, but that you actually care and you're invested in being a good teacher. It's also important to try and ensure that you're offering flexible hours in the beginning. Especially, we've talked about this before in another session, especially if you can offer peak hours that the company is looking for. Peak hours are where there's a higher demand of students wanting to book those times. If you can offer peak hours, it's a higher chance that you will get bookings quicker and faster, particularly regular students within those hours. And obviously, the faster you get bookings, the faster the money's coming in as well. We talked about this. Top tip, apply for multiple platforms. Yes, you might have seen a company that you really, really want to teach for, and that's fine. Go ahead and apply for them. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you're applying for multiple companies to diversify your opportunities and increase your chances of getting a yes back, an invitation to that interview in the next stage in the application process. Finally, make sure that before you have got your first interview and demo, that your setup, your teaching setup is all ready to go. You've got your microphone, you've got your headset, you've got your webcam, your teaching device, maybe some props as well as some extra bonus points. Have everything ready to go so that you can schedule those interviews sooner rather than later. The sooner you are hired with a company, the sooner you're going to be bringing in money, and the higher opportunities then for replacing whatever it is that you're currently doing with teaching online as a full-time career. So I hope that was really helpful as a bit of an insight in how long it can realistically take for you to be hired and start teaching ESL online. If you're still a bit on the fence, you're not sure if teaching is the right career path for you, then I have just the thing. I have a free membership, the Mini ESL Teacher Toolkit, and inside you'll find teacher guides, some support to identify your transferable skills, and even a mini job board as well, so that you can apply for your first position, all inside this free membership. I'll make sure to link that down below. That's it for today, friends. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. I'll see you soon. Bye.